Hi everyone, welcome to my talk and welcome to PyCon 2021. Cool. This is talk about cleanup Django tests with pytest, factory boy, and fakers. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kanisorn Sutham. People call me first or Cars or Kani. So I am software developer in Unity Helsinki, Finland. Previously, I working in a ThoughtWorks Thailand for 2 years ago, and I just recently relocate to here. So nice. Let's get started. Okay, so what we will get from this talk today? So what is the refactoring? So this talk we're gonna talk about the refactoring for sure. And the test refactoring, which is the thing that we want to mention like mainly in this talks. Easy to understand, easy to write, and easy to run the test, which is the three topics that we want to get from test refactoring. And I'm gonna show you how like a pytest, factory boy, fakers to help you get better developer experience and help you like do the refactoring on the test quite smoothly. The last point, I'm gonna show and share about how to adapt that technique above gradually to your team and your project. So this is the disclaimer that I want to mention before we go to the topic. So this sharing is only from my work and only from my work experience and observation from like a community and friends from community like a Thailand and Finland, also my colleagues and my senior and team lead. So yes, this slide may have a lot of text. So one thing I want to mention here, like this is the slide that I hope I can make is like a document. So people can come back and read it again later on if they want. Cool. So all feedback are welcome if you have any feedback for me for this slide, for this topic. So please give me the feedback. Thank you so much in advance. Cool. So let's keep us our test. Before we go, we need to talk about the refactoring. What is refactoring? The refactoring is a discipline technique for restructure the existing code, but it's not change the behavior. So this is the point. Though we don't change the behavior, the refactor that we want is like to make the code clean, understandable, and extendable easily. This is about the refactoring. So if you see in the graph below, the graph here is talking about like a cost of decay. If like your system, your software is not that refactoring. So the cost is gonna increase every release. Compare with the refactoring continuously. So this system is the cost of decay is gonna keep like maintain in the same level, which is a resource. But at the first point, you may need a lot of a bit about the effort, but in the long term, it's quite smoothly the same like result you needed. That's why we did refactor and sure that everyone in here, like every developer or everyone here, love to refactoring for sure. That's why we're gonna talking about test refactor today. So why we need to refactor the test is because the test is our code as well. That's why we need to maintain and keep them clean as well. Test refactoring. So we want to keep the test looking good. And this is the three things we want here. First thing, easy to understand. The second thing, easy to write the test and easy to run the test. And the last one. Three things here is a simple thing that you're gonna mention a lot when we do like a refactoring. Let's go through one by one. Easy to understand. Let's say when the tests are failed because something happened, we need to try to answer the question like so how long it take to like which tests are failed, how long you're going to take like how to understand the test, why it failed, why something happened, and we need to find some root cause, right, and make them pass. So when we refactoring, we need to talk about like how long it takes. So if it's easy enough to understand, like people for sure, people like a run the test, like a write the test, because it's like okay, it's quite understandable, and you get the point why you want to run the test. Next one, easy to write the test. Yes, people don't want to write the test because sometimes it's hard and spend lots of time. Like for example, like I want to add some features, and when I add some features, something happened. The test are fail, and then I make a test pass, and then I want to add some more tests. And where should I write the test? Yes. So this is a point. And another thing is how hard I can know like how to write the test. Do they have like a utility functions or something like a helper for writing a test easily? But the last thing, the test is quite hard to set up. It needs a lot of like code to mocking the function related. Also have bunch of code for like a create a test figure, the data that you want to use in your test. I can confirm that like the last part is a bit hard for sure at the starting point. If once you have like a concrete standard for like a making test figure, it's gonna help you a lot. But when you create some like a greenfield project and you need to set up that one, it's quite hard. Today I'm gonna show you how make it easy. And the last point is easy to run the test. Yes, it's sometimes it's easy to write, it's easy to understand, but it's quite slow. So people don't want to touch the test. People even don't want to run the test as well because it's too slow. As the developer, why us? So we want the fast feedback loop, right? So sometimes, for example, like you run the test and you go to get some coffee, go to restroom and go back to table. The test still running. My God. So then after an hour and the test tell you that it's failed. Definitely you lose 1 hour already for your working time. It's bad thing, right? Good test should be easy to run enough. It's quite fast enough to get your feedback, like a real-time feedback or like a fast enough feedback. So that's why we need to concern that. Three things here. Test should be easy to understand and easy to write and easy to run. Three things here gonna make the developer experience on writing tests quite smoothly and nicely. Okay, here today I'm gonna share you some techniques that I have learned so far and using some tools to improve my test code base. And I will share you all Pythonista. Why I say Pythonista? Because like a pytest, factory boy, faker, or those techniques here is not specific for Django, but Django is good example one that I pick it because it's like have some concrete example for here. Okay, like I mentioned, we have pytest, we have factory boy and faker here, and we're gonna go to one by one. First, how pytest give you better understanding. So here, let's see an example in Django test and pytest. So Django test here look like this. This is like a simple test that I have created, like with some field models. So you can see in left-hand side, the left-hand side is the thing that like, okay, we should create a one order and we have some setup thing for one order and then the answers or something like that. And the right-hand side is the results when I run the test. So here you can see that in the right-hand side, you're gonna like, okay, we have a test here and the test is represented in like a dot in a Django. So you can see like a below system check here, you can see the dot. It's the test. Have 8 dots, we have 8 tests. Dots mean pass. After I change to pytest, here is the result. You can see in the right hand side that okay, when you run pytest also show you like where is the test file, how many test files we have, and how many tests we have as well, like a tick green one. So pytest give you lots of information about the test. for sure. With pytest, it's like a help you get more understandable about like okay, which file test we have, something like that. Just give you more information. So go back to the left hand side, something a bit changed in assert. So in assert it's quite more simple. So we don't use self anymore, self or assert, we just use the assert. So, and also pytest give you lots of helper thing. You can write tests easily than the Django test default. Also in Django test is quite not that much informative for me. Like okay, it's in the right hand side, you can see the dot change to the left because now something happened, right? We make the test up fail in the line 40, and then as you see, it gives you like assertion errors, the decimal not equal, and then yeah, just that. This is the result. But you will see in the pytest here when the tests are failed, there's a failure output. Here when you run pytest is gonna give you like okay, whole information of the test file when it's failed. So it's gonna show you which line it failed and which asserts are failed as well, and also show you like which file failed, which test failed, and the result in the bottom line as well. So in pytest, it's quite like a more giving you like a understanding about like why is error, why is test is going on, which test file running or not running. It's quite easy for you when you run the test and you expect that this file should run and this file should not run. In Django, it's quite hard to know that okay, you add a new test file and then actually it's not run. But in here, pytest is give you like information like this file run and this test run, something like that. In this point, I want to mention that I don't say the Django test is not informative. It's quite useful also. But in this case, I use pytest as a test runner. So as a test runner, pytest doing quite well in its way. But in Django test, it's quite useful in like a you see that in line number 7 in the left-hand side, I still extend test case from the Django because test case in Django is quite powerful. So you can use like a database related testing with test case with effortless. So Django test give you lots of like information like a and also give you like lots of helper and build in something that quite helpful for working with Django. But in this case, pytest give you like a how like a good test runner. So with pytest you're gonna get more information and understand the output better for sure. Other thing, pytest also give you like a code coverage thing like out of the box. You just line pytest -cov and then you're gonna get like a report of the coverage here, and also can have some function like a okay, if the coverage is under or something like that, you can give fail something. It's quite easy in pytest, and also you can have like a configuration like so specific like okay, this one we should ignore, it's just something like that. So pytest as a test runner is quite doing very great job here. So now pytest give you a better understanding about the test. So if with pytest, you can have like a nicely output for sure and really in detail. And also they have a lot of plugin. For example, like a beautiful output. So if you want like a more beautiful output, you can use like a pytest sugar, which is a plugin one that you just install. And then your test output gonna look quite nice. Also the test coverage, and also a bunch of like a plugin that you can run the test randomly. You can run the test like parallels, and yes, a lot of things. Pytest itself have like a simplest way to assert way, like an assert, just assert. You don't need to have like a sales dot assert equal assert greater than assert lower than something like that. It's just assert, and you can use an expression like a simple one. Make you quite easy to understand. Pytest also working very well with Django. As you see, you just add the Pytest Django and they're gonna show, they're gonna give you a bunch of like a helper function, and also pytest as a test runner is working quite well with like a default Django test. Pytest itself can work like with the pure Python Flask API, also ORM like a SQL Alchemy, and also data science related framework as well. But now on, Pytest give you lots of like a explicit explanation, right? Now, hope your team will get understand the problem easier than ever, for sure. Now we end with the pytest. The second one should be continue with the factory boy and fakers. So how the faker and factory boy like make you write the test easier than before. Let's see some example. So I give some situation that okay, we have an e-shop, which is simplest e-commerce in the world. So here we have a address, customer, products, and order line. 5 model here gonna relate that on the e-shop here as an example. Order here is look like this. So in order test, you will see in the right hand side. The right hand side here is like okay, the test running that you want to see already, right? And also the left hand side is the code that okay, you already see it. So line number 9, line number 12, line number 19 here is like a setup of this individual thing. So you see like I need to create the object, I need to create like a address, consumer, products, and a lot of things to create only one order. And if I want to test the order, I need to set up the same thing every time. Is it too much, right? Imagine that your app is like a bigger than that. Yes, this is like a small one. We have just 5 models, but when you have like a big thing, like a real e-commerce one, you have maybe like a 50 models, 100 models. When you just want to create the order, it's gonna be a big one, right? So let's see how I can handle it. We kind of go back a bit to customer test, which is quite simple than the order. In customer test, I have 2 tests here as an example. One is like a customer should have one primary address. Another one is customer should have multiple address. Here, when I try to change to the factory boy, it's gonna look like this. As you see here, in the right hand side is the factory boy version. So what the thing I do is just like I have a address factory, customer factory, just 2 things. And here you can see that when I call like an address factory in the line number 28, is the address factory give me the created address object. And then what I'm gonna do next is I have a customer factory, which is I override the primary address with above address. This means the created objects of customer in line 29 already replaced by the primary asset already replaced one above. That's the thing I want to make sure and assert how it works. So in the line 33, I just assert that the customer primary is actually equal to the address I created. And yes, it's quite simple. See on the left-hand side, I need to like have a name, have a phone, have an email, which is I don't care it for now. For this case, I don't care it. I care about primary address. And also above like a line 28 in the address, I need to like define street, zip code, city, and countries. I don't care about it. I just want some address. And then, yes, factory boy help me to like make the object creations quite more simple. Same as the customer can have multiple address here. As you see, the customer factory and address factory just like create something, and address factory override customer here. So I just actually like, okay, this address have address like a 2 address, and also have like a same address here. So here you can see that. sorry. And here you can see that it's a difference between both of the version. So here I can remove all the property that I don't want and just have like a thing that I want to focus on only the test. Factory Boy helped me a lot to like reduce how to create the test figure for sure. And go back a bit for how Factory Boy work with the Django ORMs. So here is quite simple. So you need to create the factory class, which is extend the factory Django model factory here. In the line number 4 and line number 14. Here you can just define the metadata, which model you want to be a factory. And when you define model already, you need to define the field that, okay, which one is the default data you want, and then you can override later. In here, you can see the street, zip code, city, country, I already defined. And amazing thing, factory.sequence, this one is a built-in method that the factory boy can give you like a sequence of data. Let's say when you have like an address factory call, and then you give an address, and another one when you call the address factory, the number gonna change to another one, like a street 1, street 2, street 3, and street 4 every time you call it. Then you're gonna get like a unique ID, unique already, unique property for your object. Same as the name. So the name is like a customer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And special thing that if you have like a nested or relation, so you can have like a sub factory. Let's say customer factory, when you create customer factory, you're gonna get the primary address automatically. The sub factory means when we call customer, it's gonna create the address for you as well from the address factory automatically. So quite easy and simple here. Also, the one thing that I quite like is faker. So faker means like it's gonna help you generate fake data. Like you can in line 11, line 12, line 13. It's gonna like fake the zip code, fake the city, fake the country, also fake the phone, fake the email. They also have fake that name, fake that random number, and have a bunch of code like a method for generate you like almost all of the case. So faker can help you like generate like a realistic value for that field. So it's quite easy. The tip for me is we use faker for all the field, and then if you want to override something, you just override when you call the factory. Now on, we can see the orders. The order now, it should be much more simpler, the order test. You can see in the right hand side, it's quite simple, right? Go back to the left one, you see a lot of things is going on. It's my like a usually like a 40 line of code for just setup and then assert. Compare with the right hand side, it's just like, okay, I want some address. So address factory, give me one. And then I want some customer, which is override the primary address and just put the address above to assign to the primary address. Then the order and order line is the same case. But the special thing that in order line factory boy allow you to have a nested override as well. For sure, if you see the order line factory, order line itself have the products, right? And products should have a price. In order line factory, we can override the price by like a product with double underscore and price, which means this order line factory, we can override the price of products. Because in this case, we want to calculate the total price. That's why we need to override the price. If I not override the price, it's gonna give me some random things, some random data, random price, as I already create in the products factory, something like that. Here is an example of like how Factory Boy help you to reduce the data figures for all your test cases in the future in Django, as well as in Python in every frameworks or like even the pure Python as well. Here is a great tool to help you like a write test easily than ever for sure. Okay, let's talk about the factory pattern. So why we call them factory pattern? Because it's like a one of design pattern, and this factory also able to use for the factoring technique as well. The factory pattern help you to reduce the object construction. So instantly we need to have like a construction. It just return the already created object for you. Like an address factory, just return the created object of address for you. Factory class also can like have a customize as well. Like a factory boy have a built-in class for you. Like okay, we have a batch create, which is like a return. It's gonna return array of that class for you. For example, like I can address dot batch create 5, and then have a customer assigned to customer, which is mean I'm gonna have like a 5 array of address, which is assigned to the same customer, the same one. So here it is quite nice. So the factory can help you like just doing something. You don't need to like manually create 5 address by your own. Factory boy help you a lot in here. We call the diagram below like the abstract factory. So it's like okay, factory boy is a factory boy abstract one, and then we apply this factory to every model we want. Fun facts here. I would say I learned how the benefits of like a factory pattern from the factory boy. So at first I would say I tried to learn like a design pattern, creation pattern, the builder, the factory pattern, or the thing. I'm not sure how to use it in the right way, but when I try to use a factory boy, it's a thing that okay, this is how factory used in the real world, and I can adapt from the tools knowledge to like a principle and all the way back as well. So it's like I would say, so it's not necessarily that you're gonna learn principle first or learn the tool first. Maybe sometimes you start with the tools and then you use the tool like quite often, and then you realize that if somehow use the principle, so you can learn principle later as well. It's not that like you need to start from principle for all the time. It's okay to use the tool and then understand how it works. Go back to principle and apply to like a whole engineering things. Yeah, the end is the same. Even you start with the tool or principle. Cool. To summarize how Factory Boy and Faker make you write the test easier than ever. Yes, with the factory pattern here, you can reuse your test figure quite easily, right? Finally, you like just able to focus on what exactly thing you want to test. Like me, I want to test just primary address, so I don't care about the another property the customer have. I just want to test like a primary. So here is the thing that the data figure, the test figure help you. Then now you will forget about how to like a manual data figure, test figure, create manually. No, just use some factory pattern function for you. Yes, and now when the setup is quite fast and quite simpler now, I'm sure that it's more easy to write the test than ever for sure. Cool. All right, we have covered all the tools already, and now we're gonna start with something cool, which is another one. Pytest make your test is more writing fast. Actually, it's not that like a writing fast, but Pytest can indicate the slow test and also can mark them as well. So Pytest itself is not just give you beautiful output, but the Pytest have like a function that can be run the test and see the duration of running the test here. And then if you see some tests are slow, you can mark it. A mark function is something like powerful for me, like in pytest mark is can be like a mark each test or each class to do something. The built-in mark is like you can skip it. You can skip if like you can have the condition, or you can like have a parameterized, which is like a hand. In one test, you can have multiple data come through. Also some Django specific as well. Yes, and the thing that's quite important here is you can have a custom marks, like a slow unit test, or integration, something cool, or whatever. If you want marks, like a custom mark for you, just create it. And then you can run the specific test by the mark, like a Python, or no, pytest.m slow, pytest.m integration or unit. So for example, like you have some class that have only integration test, like we have a multiple module in the same test, or you have a test that have like unit test, just test one thing. As you know, the unit test is run quite fast compared with integration test. So with the marks, we can run specific thing like, okay, this time we want to run only unit test. This time we want to run integrate test as well. And this time we want to run whole thing. So here is the way to improve your test running. The test can get very fast feedback and easy to run if you run with the marks. So now I would say like if it's easy to run and get the fast feedback enough, people will love to run the test for sure. Okay, go to some example about like a pytest duration. Here is a pytest duration. So when you run the test, like for example, in this example, we have a 10 test case, and then one have like a slow, like you see that we use like a 1.04 second to just set up. And this is not that slow, but imagine that you have like 1,000 of tests. You need to like know that which one are tests and make your test slow. And you see here is a have 29 durations, which is why use a little bit of time. And we have another one for like it's slow. So total of it is a 30 test, right? Why is 30? Because we have 10 pass, we have 10 tests, and each one test we have 3 more, like set up, run, and tear down. So you can, with 3 things here, you can like specify that, okay, which step they are slow in setup, or in running, or in tear down. Some tests is slow because it's a lot of tear down thing. You need to like close out the thing. Some tests is slow because the setup thing. So with pytest, you can specify like a which function that make your test slow. And then in this one, if in case your tests are slow, you can see in the left hand side, the line 39, the pytest dot mark dot slow, which means you mark that test that, okay, this test is too slow. Okay, we want to run the test that's the slow one. In the right hand side, we just pytest -m and slow. You can change this to unit. You can change this to integration if you have a mark, a custom mark for you. And then you can see the result is run only 1 test and 9 tests is deselected. It's a good thing, right? You can run specific tests by the mark. And then now on, people on your team, people on like around you, the software engineering colleagues can run the test quite easily. Now, when it's run easily and get the fast feedback, people will love it for sure. Okay, this is a technique I want to share you today. We have a pytest to get a better understanding about the test and output. We have a factory boy and faker for help you create a test figure quite easy and simple than ever for sure. And the pytest to indicate the slow test, and also have a max for like a runs specific max, forget the what exactly you want to run and fast feedback enough. Now it's the last point, how to adapt this technique above gradually. So Start on your team. This is the first thing I will let to everyone to know. Like, okay, we want the feedback from the test, but actually we want the feedback from your team member, the colleagues as well. And yeah, like I said, ask your team friend, like, how about the test now? Is it something can improve? Is it slow? Is it like a big, is it like a something that unused or we need to remove or something like that? If you have no idea, I recommend to go back to page 9 to 11 and pick some question this to the team. Maybe in a retro, maybe in a tech huddle discussion or something like that. And one thing I want you all to focus on is should take a baby step, like a don't adapt it all in once because you cannot focus. And then if you adapt them all like a one time, it's gonna like you're gonna focus on the refactoring most of the time. And for me, it is not that good. We as a developer, we want to deliver something the customer like have a value. So the refactoring is benefit us, but not the customer much. So I would suggest to adapt like a baby step and use just like a 10 or 20 minutes, 10 and 20% of total working time to like spend on refactoring. And last one, this slide is not like a how-to thing. It's more on like a guideline that I want to show you like a possibility way we can do in improve our test. Yes, in the world, in the internet, they have lots of way, many ways like we can improve our test. Do you try to like indicate like categorize the test as a test pyramid with like a end-to-end integration, and then the last one is unit test. Is the shape of your test is like a triangle already, and maybe if like a unit test use a lot of time because you have many services, look at the contract test. Did you looking on it, or the explanation tests or something like that? So it had many way to like make your test like get more confidence, also make your test it quite run faster or easier. Like a contract test, if you spend time on like a end-to-end a lot, if you split to like a contract test, it's more on like you're gonna get the fast feedback than E2E for sure, with like a quite same amount of confidence on your test. Here is something I want to mention. So let's adapt it, take a baby step. Okay, recap all we have done in this talk. So what is a refactoring? Yes, refactoring is like we want to make a code like a clean. We want to easy to understand and also easy to extend. The test refactoring is the same. We want to, it's easy to understand, it's easy enough to write, to start writing tests, it's easy to run and get the fast feedback. Yes, and few some technique I share you is like using pytest to get some like a better understanding, and also use a factory boy and faker to get like a more easily way to write a test and test figure, and also like a pytest to use like a indicate your slow test and mark them, also like a running the pytest in like a using marks. And last point, the how we adapt this technique evolve gradually. So this is the end. It's my pleasure to share this to you all. So thank you so much. My contact is below. And if you have some feedback or have some suggestion, or you want to discuss about like a related about the test or related about the refactoring Python, also whole system like a whole web development thing, I'm quite welcome to like just ping me and we can have discussion. So cool. I hope in this round we have like a Q&A session, and also I'm gonna put some feedback form for you. Nice. And thank you so much for joining my talk and listen me today. Stay safe, people, and see you soon.